They used to call me the number one marketer in Star. It slipped to 2 because I had to focus on this. And I was like, I can't live like this anymore. The difference between that person and me is what is my integrity. Like as Warren Buffett always said, right? If you don't have integrity, let's not talk only about other values. I will do something because I've promised Darshana. I'll show up today for the podcast because if I don't show up, then Darshana, what will she think of me? But I have promised myself in the shower that I will go back home and actually read for 20 minutes something that I need to finish. But who is watching me? Nobody's watching me. You cannot think positive and not feel positive. It's hardcore toxic positivity. The desperation comes in, even if you're a high achiever, because you're so scared to lose that one thing that you want to put your hand in 10 other things so that something stays.
It's going to work.
If it comes from a place of fear, very rarely will it last. I want to feel fame, which, to be honest, I wouldn't even be able to say it out loud because I would judge myself. That how can I want fame? Success means validation. And now there's no validation. That gut issues led to 18 hours migraine. That 18 hours migraine led to 3 years of insomnia, where I had to take special permission from Star. Can I coming at 11 a.m. because I just couldn't get up. I was getting only sleep at 4:30 a.m. Build your ammunition. Build yourself. Come to a place where you factually feel courage to say, now I'm ready. I feel your biggest why comes from your lowest emotions.
The question you were hoping that I won't ask you today.
Do you feel successful yet?
Thank you, Nipa, for coming to my show. And I'm very inspired with your journey that you've been a professional like me, 15 years, being a marketeer, done agencies to Star all the way. And then one fine day you decided to quit. So I'm very inspired to understand your journey. And thank you for being to my show.
Thank you, Darshana, for having me. I'm already feeling a amazing connect with you.
Yeah,
and very happy to have this chat.
Our Gujarati families, our parents are never okay.
Correct.
There is a lot of fear already built in our, and the conditioning is there.
Right.
And from there, you decided to go and get into coaching, leave all that, get into coaching, and now you also have launched product. I want to understand that journey and the courage that you had.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be brutally honest that had I not got my own health issues or life issues, I don't even know if this would have happened, right? Because I had to be, it's almost like universe pushed me to a place where I had to invest in my own health journey and life journey, which made me do the certification. And little did I know that just helping myself, I realized, my God, I can help so many women. If I don't do this now, then when? And there's this thing that I always do, even today I do, called the worst case scenario. What is my worst case scenario?
Yes.
Worst case scenarios, I might go back to another media channel and take a pay cut, right? That's my worst case scenario. Let's try.
So let's try.
If you don't know, if you don't know, just try and you can go back,
True.
Right? Yeah. So I think it was a combination of...
But your health issues were because of the work stress?
No. I feel like, don't want to blame my genes all the time, but you know how Gujarati food is. There were certain things that I kept eating all my life and leading a certain life that gave me serious gut issues. That gut issues led to 18 hours migraine. That 18 hours migraine led to 3 years of insomnia, where I had to take special permission from Star. Can I coming at 11 a.m. because I just couldn't get up. I was getting only sleep at 4:30 a.m.
Oh my God.
So when it reached to this, they used to call me the number one marketer in Star. It slipped to 2 because I had to focus on this. And I was like, I can't live like this anymore.
Absolutely.
Right? This is when, how universe rigs it in your favor. I just met these new women who were into health and stuff, and they were like, you know what, we think it's your gut. And one thing led to the other, and I was forever on a weight loss journey.
We always are.
The
women are always.
There's no end, right?
There's no end.
So by that time in Star TV, there were things like Nipa wala sandwich, Nipa wala bhel, Nipa wala. So already there was so much all that. I'm like, what if this is something I'm meant to do?
So you started your own wellness journey, and that's how you got into coaching.
Correct.
Because there's a fear of leaving everything, leaving the
Yes.
monthly money that you're getting, right?
100%.
And the lifestyle. So that constant fear is a bigger noise. How did you
Yes.
manage that?
Yes.
Nita?
So firstly, but from 2016 to 2019, I made very less money. And the first thing my dad did was remove Excel sheet and said, even every waking hour, you explain everybody who's coaching, nobody's going to pay you more than this. It's first you take the safe zone, then you take the scared zone, then you come to the courage zone. I feel it's literally that safe, scared, courage. Safe,
I
scared,
love that.
courage.
Safe, scared, and courage.
Courage.
And what happened in your scared zone then? What happens there?
Scared zone was 2019 when again my dad moved on the Excel sheet. I said, you have been doing this for 3 years. You haven't moved a needle,
Okay.
right? So either you move the needle by next year or then figure something
So you
else.
had enough clients coming, or what was happening in
So,
that?
2019, I came across a coach in Hong Kong who had done exactly the same courses as me, but had cracked a model that
Wow.
worked.
Okay.
So instead of seeing her as, oh, I shouldn't copy, I'm like, I'm inspired by her.
True.
Can I create? I have so much knowledge. Can I create it into a 12-week program and a 6-week program?
Okay.
2019 in COVID, I cracked the thing. And from there on, by 2020, I had reached like 300x in my revenue.
Awesome. So that whole structuring your program
Yes.
and COVID also by itself would have given you the
Yes.
push, right? Because people were at that time looking
Yes.
for coaching.
Coaching
Yeah, that
and
time there was a lot
my
more.
format. You see, it has to be again, it has to be what you can market
Market. Okay.
and what you know plus what you can market. That I was not getting a click for very long.
Okay. So
So-
that click you're saying, what is marketable and
And
your
what is your expertise?
expertise.
When it comes together in an understandable format is when you have to be able to explain in two. My boss is always like, you can't explain in 3 words. There's something
is
wrong.
your elevator pitch.
Elevator pitch. So I did a hormonally balancing weight loss program because it's very good with hormone and gut because of my own journey.
Nice.
Another thing that at that point of time when everybody was telling me how stupid and foolish I was, I heard some of my friends talk behind my back as well. It was very hurtful, right? I just said that give me some sign, universe, that this is what I'm supposed to do. And that's when a friend said, Huffington Post constantly looks for content. If you write a good article about your story, and I've not written one article in my life, I just wrote it with my heart. And next, I know Bombay Times featured it with my name.
Wow.
And I woke up
amazing.
in the morning with like so many messages. So I am a huge believer that you do get signs also, right? Which are in sync with what you're doing. Action is very important.
Correct.
Science is very important. But getting a sign that helps you, listen, there is something here. Why would they otherwise capture your article?
Correct.
If there is no market, why should they write
Why
the
would they
story?
write? So
Because I knew hormone and gut, right?
So that clarity and that niche you found,
Yes.
and that's when your scared phase is almost out because now you've proved your dad wrong. You're making 300x or whatever revenue. So suddenly, then what is that going wrong that you want more?
Because I had fear of failing in the product business.
Oh,
I had fear telling myself, my dad, or other people that I've shut it because I failed. It was the fear that gave me power. Sorry, I think a lot of people think some inspiration and aspiration comes. I feel your biggest why comes from your lowest emotions,
so true.
right?
Fantastic. Yeah,
I
so
just
true.
that fear
Yeah.
of failing as a coach made me create a format. The fear of shutting a business down, product business down, made me say, no, something is, and why? Because 4-5 days in the week, I'm coaching 6-7 hours. Where is the time to actually even invest in a product business?
True.
Right? And that's when I remember December 2023, Masaba, she was taking our products and she put up a story of the fact that this is my morning ritual and I'm adding Super Radiance from Ye Breathe Smile. And that day we got 200 units in one day.
Wow.
Again, a sign from universe. You're just not investing.
You're
It's
not
not
investing.
her. It's awareness.
Correct.
And next year, we moved to 200 to 300x growth.
Wow.
next year.
So that was just moving from your fear and your scare to the courage phase that you were talking about. So what changes?
So in that, no, what I did is, even though I sorry to say the word jack shit, I had jack shit to do on Thursday, Friday if I was going to stop coaching, because I didn't know where to start from, right? The
Correct.
product, we don't know where to start
yeah,
from.
we don't know.
I just said, I will just leave that space for knowledge to come in. So I cut off 2 days of coaching. I coach Monday to Wednesday only. My only action was saying to space, I'll just keep researching, keep reading what other people have done in the product business. That's it.
Wow. So you emptied your space to sort of get you the
It's
universe
that's
sign.
always the first thing. Create the gap of space. I
Wow.
create that space when I left Star and I said, I'll figure. Let me just write. Then I created that space when it came to products, right? So you know what happened was, when I was going through all those relationship issues, friendship drama, I invested a lot in understanding neuroscience and manifestation.
Nice.
And there was 2 principles that I would tell anybody. One is, everything happens for a reason,
Correct.
including if somebody tells you something that hurts you, it's happening for a reason. And the second thing is, dots connect if you take 100% responsibility.
Awesome.
Yeah. So there might be a person who's always negative with me. Then universe is telling me, or everything is telling me, that maintain distance. But then there is a father figure who's telling you the truth. You can either get very defensive and angry, or you go back and say, this is happening for a reason. Can I sit down and know if the facts are right about what he's saying?
Correct.
And I apply this even today, Darshna, that I
Lovely.
take this, that everything is happening for a reason.
Everything is happening for a reason.
We again went through where our products were not growing last July, right? And I was wondering, like, we've come here, we've launched our Eat, Breathe, Smiles vegan protein collagen. It's already loved by people. It's no pea protein, no whey protein, made with hemp seed, which nobody in India has done, right? But I was like, what is it that, why is universe blocking my growth here?
Okay.
Because you won't believe that next month, the rice isolate and my hemp seed manufacturer both had a machine breakdown. I hadn't ordered enough. The delay of order was 12 days, right?
Wow.
And I was getting negative people putting up negative
Negative
stories about me, especially when you're, it's great to have organic followers on social media, but then there are a lot of people who want to even attack you, right? And when she put, I said, this is what universe, I wasn't ready for bigger orders. I wasn't ready with my back end. And imagine if 30 people wrote this.
Wow, that's again a
like, it can break you.
It can break you,
right? And that's what I corrected. And I corrected. I'm not saying that we moved to again another 3x, but I can now see that it's already growing month on month when I have my processes in place, which I didn't know how to do it.
Yes, correct.
Nobody
because you've
taught
not done
me.
a product business, so
Correct.
managing inventory,
I've never done.
Yes, planning
Yeah.
for the whole cycle.
Yeah.
Processes.
Yeah.
It's a very different thing. Correct?
Very different thing.
And you're right, because now we're in the content creator, social influencer space. People are there and they're going to, give
exactly.
your results.
And my marketing was also content, no, Darshna.
Yeah.
It's not like I was working in Cadbury or PNG where I knew
Correct.
anything. I
Correct.
knew nothing. So everywhere, I feel like if you ask these 2 questions, put in the action. And the minute I also saw even remotely any growth, I did something called the Micro Light, which is a part of my book, which is launching, where I'm telling all the 12 tools which I teach all my clients, which changes their neuroscience and changes their results for their goals. Micro Light, that you're not going to get your ultimate outcome.
Okay.
Immediately. You're going to get small micro lights. So I said, so you have to set an intention that if the next month, even if 50 people more buy Know My Protein, I'm doing something right. And even if 30 people come back and buy, say, instead of single pack, 3 pack, that means They want this.
Yeah, the repurchase is more important than the trials.
But you make micro numbers,
moments, micro.
even though you want to go and see 1,000 people.
So it's your micro goals, which you're calling your micro lights.
Micro lights. So sometimes
Lights,
it's also micro light is even when universe tells you, stop, don't do this. A mug business, we made beautiful manifestation mugs. It failed.
Okay.
It didn't work at all. We did everything. And then when you've done everything, then universe is saying, it is done. Learn from this and move on. So I feel why this tool helps is because whenever you come across something that doesn't work, you can either take it as a personal failure
Yes.
or you can take it as a
Challenge.
learning. So for
Learning.
that, tools are very important.
And how did you create these tools?
I will say the book Secret let me down.
Oh, is it?
Everything I did from that book, opposite was happening.
Oh, really?
I made a
Wow.
vision board, opposite happened. I did affirmations, opposite happened. I did visualization, opposite happened.
Is it? Wow.
And that broke. I'm like,
Rhonda
how
Bryan is going
this?
to.
Not happy with
Yeah.
it, but it is the truth,
Okay.
right? Because a vision board is done. Why is it that everybody's vision boards look pretty much the same?
Mm-hmm.
Because it is again a conditioning thing that we are applying on vision board. I want this also, but then I want this also, but then I want this also, but then I want this also.
Correct, I want
And
many
we just
things.
make a beautiful cluttered vision board.
That you're right. Because
Right?
I also got in this whole manifestation
yeah.
last year visual. So I have a
Yeah.
visual board.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wanted to do my podcast. I started.
Yeah.
So I'm very keen to understand. So what is not happening? Yes, we clutter. I have many things on it. You're right.
Correct. So I'm making all of this. While I'm making also, I'm wondering, अभी ये किया तो है, कैसे होगा, क्या होगा.
So
Chalo, now
self-doubts.
the world is doing, I'll also do.
Ah,
So what I want was not matching with what I feel. So I realized in that year, I saw 500 videos and I read 200 books, 200 to 250 books.
Wow.
To go into why if doesn't happen for someone, why some manifestation doesn't happen for someone when they're trying to do everything right. Because I was just, one thing that marketing, as you know, teaches you to be action oriented.
Correct.
So I was like, I have to have my answer now. And it's because what I want doesn't match with what I feel. I want a fit body. Like the biggest struggle of my life I've had is with weight, right? What I want is a fit body. But what I feel is it's so hard for me.
To do.
Right?
Yeah, I'm going through this right now.
Yeah. So it's very interesting.
Yes,
Now, what I feel is here, which is the subconscious. Scientifically, subconscious is 90%. It doesn't matter what you want. If you can change what you feel, it'll happen on its own. So what I do is I teach people how to change what they feel along with action, which gives result.
Which gives results.
So feel plus action equals to results. That is result coaching.
Wow. Feel plus
That's action equals
is
to results.
And you're saying get your those micro results or your micro.
So micro light
Light.
is one tool. For
Yeah.
example, another tool which I'll use, which is so fascinating and interesting, is that I would see, for example, other people become thin, or I would see other people have attracted love and I haven't, whatever, right? I used to always feel is something wrong with me. I felt others are getting this much easily than me.
Correct. So there's
Right.
self-doubt and your
Right.
confidence level. Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
But I feel that the fact that I didn't look for this person's fitness journey, I didn't look for this, is because this is a sign that I am next. So every time I would see someone achieve something, I'm like, you know what? Their joy is my joy.
Nice.
The reason I'm seeing this is because I'm next. All I need to do is put the result, and one day I'll be sharing and somebody else will be inspired. And cut to today, exactly that has happened in fitness or in product business or in life or love.
But amazing, Neepa. See, what you bought is something very fascinating that when you see someone, you are projecting a positive energy that next is
Yeah.
me. Vis-a-vis a basic human behavior is that
Comparison, insecurity, jealousy. Yeah.
envy, all of that. So
Yeah.
you project negative emotion.
Negative.
But this is very interesting that you're projecting positive
Correct.
emotion out there.
Correct.
right?
So then you give them this tool. So they would be like, oh, I said I am next year. Oh, I said I am next year. And then I would make them create a role model panel tool where I say, find 3 people on your role model who are your age, have achieved something you have, right? And
Right.
I want you to only listen to these voices. So some people say, don't listen, it's okay. Forget about what your parents are saying, forget what your friends are saying. But we always need a voice, Darshana.
You're right.
So I used that time on my role model panel, I used Mel Robin. I had used my yoga teacher who had a crazy journey. And I'd used a friend who had that point of time at 34 achieved some things which I wanted to. And every time when I would feel like, what if I'm being delusional? I'll be like, no, 1 second, what will Mel tell me? What will Shirley tell me? What will Pooja tell me? And I would keep channelizing so that there's constantly tools taking me to act on that particular day. And obviously in 2 weeks you will see some tiny results,
Some results. Yeah.
some result that will keep going to the next one. So I feel tools help a lot than just talking
True.
and sharing stuff to go to the next thing. And I've
Next
used the same thing when I launched my signature product being Eat, Breathe, Smile, vegan protein collagen. And I've constantly used the role model tool, I am next tool, microlight tool. I have used all of this consistently. And I feel like I can see now in February.
You
that
can
it's
see the
helped,
results.
yeah.
So you have created tools with your experience, used it, and then you've got your clients to use. And I know I love you talking about Mel Robbins because she has been my inspiration.
Yeah.
One of the reason why I
Yeah.
started was
Yeah.
that, why can't I be the next Mel in
Exactly.
India?
Exactly.
And I
why
do
not?
want to see women, and especially coming to the boardroom, being in leadership,
Yeah.
a lot more because she started for women initially and then now she's doing much more.
Much more. Yeah.
Yes. So, I think so much
Yeah.
common. But you're right. I love the idea of tools because that brings discipline and structure is what you're saying.
Exactly. And that is one thing we were good with our journey in marketing and business, where we want everything to be used in a objective way.
Yes.
So I said, this is all la la land, right? Secret is saying this, law of attraction is saying this, power of habit was great, atomic habit is great. But why are people not able to do those habits? Because there is nothing to kind of feel like a result long term. So
Right.
especially my results with weight loss and with hormonal balances, 90% because I integrate these tools, Darshana,
Nice.
to see microlight, to have their role model panel telling them every day what they need to hear, right? Like constant that input.
Input is there.
And one girl who, it was interesting, we actually started her business venture, which made her lose weight
Wow.
because she was not feeling worthy enough.
Worthy enough. Correct. But tell me, Neepa, what did you have to unlearn first? Was there any part of your behavior or your side of you which you had to unlearn before you got into all this coaching to product to now even becoming a writer?
I think one of the biggest thing I'll have to unlearn is that nobody's going to clap for you. Nobody's going to clap for you. I was so used to everyone clapping for me when I became head of marketing.
It's a marketeer's
when I
life,
became
right?
this,
We're highly decorated,
Correct.
awarded,
So
lauded, yeah.
my tangible currency of success will now not be friends calling or my parents saying congratulations. Now it will be me clapping in the room alone for me,
Alone.
because those results are going to be so micro that I can't even sharing with people, they're not going to understand. So the biggest thing I had to unlearn is that I was in this thing of success means validation, and now
Right.
there's no validation. So in order to remove this thing that I need it, my vision board needs to be all encompassing. Otherwise, universe will not hear me and I will not get it. I make something called vision cards. Okay. And
Okay.
I make it of 6 areas. If you see, whatever we want is mainly in these 6 areas: career, money, love, right? Then friendships, family, and health.
Okay.
Firstly, divide the areas, because not everything you need to cover all the time.
All the time. Okay.
Now let's go to what we want to feel. Say, I'll take career. What I had put at the beginning of this year is that I want to feel respect. I want to feel fame, which, to be honest, I wouldn't even be able to say it out loud because I would judge myself. That how can I want fame? Am I being vain? But I know that fame will lead to my last one, which is financial abundance.
Yeah.
And
True.
that's all I want to feel for the next 2-3 months.
That's so true. So you're saying you write. So
I
you
write this,
you
right?
write on the
Then after
card.
3 months, I go back and I evaluate. And I
Okay.
said, chalo, now I have fame. What else do I want? What else do I want? I want to be a global name. So I go everything from here.
From your feeling, from the gut, you're saying.
Gut, from your gut. So if I had to sit with you and do a vision card, I would spend a lot of time trying to put the right things here versus whatever comes top of mind for you, because most of the time it's coming from our condition.
But what happens? Well, that's so interesting. But what happens with the whole manifestation where you actually write the amount? Let's say in the money manifestation, one of the thing I've learned is put the exact amount and the date and the month and keep repeating or writing. So have you seen anything working?
If
like
it's
this?
happened for some people, no, Darshana, it's because somewhere in their subconscious they don't have a money block as much as somebody else. But many people who put this, how come they don't see it? Because they never believed in the
They never
subconscious.
believed.
They never felt that they could achieve it. What is feeling? Believing.
True.
So you don't believe. You feel like, "Arey, now everybody's doing, so I'll do." So what? But what if you actually didn't make that money, but you got 3 very amazing projects? You'll negate them. You won't even think of them as
True.
something that universe is giving you some sign that, listen, this is the path for you. Go here.
Go here, but you're still chasing
You're
something.
chasing something else. So that
very
that
nice.
chasing goes away with vision cards. So I make all my clients do this.
True,
So this
true.
is one of the tools that we do. And then what would happen is that, say, assume it's called snap the rubber band to do the something called the absolutely true test. Okay. So if today you told me, Deepa, but why can't you sell million books? We're like, no, yeah, come on, yeah, Darshan. I'm not Mel Robin and I'm not Dalai Lama and I'm not this. Why am I putting myself down? So
Why
I
are you
do
putting
this, I snap the rubber band. Is it absolutely true that I can't sell million copies in a country like India where there are billions of people? Of course it's true. I said, then stop it.
Stop it.
Open your heart.
Nice.
So that's how I see these tiny things. If you change your, you actually create a new neuroscience, right? Like there's a neuroscience and neural path in me
Neural
that
path, yeah.
that you know what, women are never as successful as men. They have so many roles to play. It's so difficult, right? It's a neural pathway. Where does it come from? My parents.
Conditioning, yeah.
Conditioning. If I have to do something to feel differently, I have to change my neural pathway. What will change my neural pathway? Frequency of a new thought
Frequency.
and believing it and feeling it and seeing some result. And the more I do it, the more I put that into my subconscious. Then the next thing, then the next thing. So it's almost like it's all circles like
It's
that.
all so it's all one into other integrated.
Integrated to
Correct.
change the neural
The
path.
neural path. And then it's the way of life, and then you're saying things will start
Exactly.
coming as you wanted or as
Yes.
it was meant to. So I read somewhere that you spoke about, see, usually people say dream big, just like I used to always say, ki, make a large canvas for yourself and then,
Yeah.
at least you'll start chasing. Otherwise, if you dream small, you will think small. But what I saw in one of your reels or somewhere, you mentioned that you don't believe in dreaming
No.
big. So tell me more about it, because it's very contrary to the way I actually think and do.
Right?
Yes.
Because I personally feel that when you want to take a new path or when you want to use courage as a value,
Okay.
this is too overwhelming.
Oh,
If in your subconscious anything is going to make you feel overwhelming, it's beautiful when we go into a pep up, wellness retreat or a pep up, motivational speaking. When I went for Tony Robbins for six days, those days I was so
So
wired.
you went there to the US?
Yes, I went to Singapore when he
Singapore,
came for
okay.
6 days. He was amazing. I felt great. It didn't last.
It didn't last, right? Because I've also done this thing online.
The
though.
reason it didn't last is because you can pep yourself up only that much, okay? Because you feel like your outcome is so far away. And as human beings, our entire ecosystem now is about instant gratification.
True.
But what I'm saying is that if my outcome is to look like, say, Priyanka Chopra, which is the thing big, and that will happen on December 31st. Come April, I'm not even 500 grams less, or say I'm only 500 grams less. Should I see that as negative or should I see that as positive? Should I use it? And role model, I saw a lot of women think their role model is very different from what their body structure is. So you're putting
True.
completely, I think the big picture can sometimes alienate you, overwhelm you,
Overwhelm is the right.
doubt
right.
you. And if that is happening in your subconscious, which is
Yeah.
90% scientifically, your probability of giving up is much,
Much
higher.
True.
And I don't want people to give up, Darshana.
Nice. So tell me, you have clients like who are really high achievers, right? So
Hmm.
who are your clients? Is it more corporate high achievers, or you have what kind of
I
profile?
mean, see, I have Bollywood. Like we did great work. Vijay Varma and I did really good work. Like if you see him right now, he's looking fantastic for his next movie. It
Nice.
was completely changing his food psychology and actually making him reduce that body fat and actually telling him you can eat this, you can eat that. Along with this, he is. I feel like he thinks like a Hollywood guy, where he did every manifestation tool and he's already seeing some of these things kind of come together. So what happens, that creates a belief in this also, that my discipline, my action is actually helping. So the Bollywood categories I did with him, there are quite a few of our the Bollywood stars who are having my products because they're finding, like Sophie Chaudhary, she swears by our Super Cleanse, Eat Breathe Smile Super Cleanse. Her mother has the Eat Breathe Smile vegan protein collagen. If she wants to ever have it, she has it. And she says, please, like she goes out there, promotes. She took our products to Viva Meyer because she actually felt that they
Nice.
deserve to see this. So there are a bunch of people who I only get because they're just all she said is, Nipa, I'm feeling bloated. Do I sign up with you or what do I do? And I'm like, you know what? You just take this product.
This
It's fine.
product, it's fine. Right.
So there are some people, and then some of them are really high achievers who are CEOs of companies, founders of other brands. Some people who want to become founders of a brand because they are done with corporate and they don't want to. But I always go health and body, mind integrated because I
Together.
do feel that one leads to the clarity of the other.
Nice. So tell me more about now the mindset part I want to get into with these high achievers. What is the pattern that you have seen, that what would they come with? Because this ambition that we all, and you've also
Yeah.
been in not just corporate, even otherwise, as a founder, as a as a entrepreneur, all of us have ambition. But that does bring a lot of either it comes from our baggage, it comes from our fear, it could be many things. So what is the pattern that you've consistently seen in them, and what do you first try to change when a
The-
high achiever, high ambitious
Yeah.
person comes to you?
First thing I think that I change is their self-sabotage, right? When they achieve something, because there's so much pressure of, oh, is it too good to be true? What if it goes away? Right?
Mm.
Especially because when you work very hard for something,
Right.
the biggest fear is, what if it goes away? What if somebody else kinds of launches the same thing, or what if this is too good to be true and it's gone? So the self-sabotage is what I have to change, right? So we use something called the story switch tool, which there's
Okay.
like a 3 columns. The first column is story in my mind, the second one is the state of mind, and the third one is steps or strategy. And people try to only say, no, it's okay, I have to think positive. It's hardcore toxic positivity. You cannot think positive and not feel positive. So I ask them to keep changing their story, which is the story switch. I said, so what's another story you can choose? What is another possibility that is
So
that
initially it
there?
is more telling story than feeling story, right? Because we want to portray something.
But
good.
let's take an example. Say you want to start something and your thing is like, well, what if I fail? I'm like,
Hmm.
but choose another story. Tell me 3 people who've done it in our age group and have actually achieved. What's the story? But what if you actually succeed?
What if I
Right?
actually-
What you actually succeed? So what if you actually you achieved this because of your own actions? Okay. So if the more and more you change the story, which you believe.
Right.
Let's not talk about a story that you don't believe. Then that is fake positive.
That is fake. Okay.
And then that becomes toxic positive because you are so scared to face your emotions, right?
Hmm,
And that's
true.
why another thing which I see that high achievers generally, when they get a little scared, they start saying yes to everything.
Okay.
The desperation comes in. Even if you're a high achiever, because you're so scared to lose that
Lose
one
it,
thing, that you
yes.
want to put your hand in 10 other things so that something stays.
Is going to work. Yes.
But it is actually coming from a place of fear.
fear. Yeah.
If it comes from a place of fear, very rarely will it last.
Right.
Yeah.
So that self-sabotage is the first thing that you want
First
them
thing
to
you want to, and
unlearn.
first thing you want to is that they are telling the right story to themselves, which they actually believe every single day.
So you follow your story vis-a-vis creating something which is not yours.
Correct. Or just trying to be positive and say, no, 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 nothing will happen. No, if you're feeling it, face it head on.
Face it.
Ask another story. Is there another story to this?
So when you've talked about this gap theory between how reliable someone is for this world and how reliable they are for
Correct.
themselves.
Correct.
So what is this? Where does the gap exist specifically in people?
Integrity.
Oh,
I think
integrity.
the biggest gap is in integrity, right? I will do
Interesting.
something because I've promised Darshana. I'll show up today for the podcast because if I don't show up, then Darshana, what will she think of me? But
Yeah.
I have promised myself in the shower that I will go back home and actually read for 20 minutes something that I need to finish. But who's watching me? Nobody's watching me.
Nobody's watching. So integrity when nobody's watching you.
No,
is-
and you don't do it.
you don't do it.
So the reliability, again, we are so concerned what other people think of us. So we are reliable actually in a dishonest way. We are not reliable in an honest way. And what will be matched? There are 30 people who want to be successful, Darshana.
True.
The
I
difference
agree.
between that person and me is what is my integrity. Like as Warren Buffett always said, right? If you don't have integrity, let's not talk only about other values.
Right. That's a
Right?
basic.
So I'm so careful. Like even if I bump into someone and I know I have no intention to make a plan and hang out, first I would say, "Oh, let's make a plan." It's like a filter statement.
Mm.
Now I don't say. I'm like, "It was good to see you." Stop.
That's it. Yes.
Right.
So don't say what you don't mean because
Don't
it's
say what you don't
Yes.
mean. It is going to make you feel I can't rely on
I
myself.
can't rely on myself.
Number
So
two,
true.
the energy you're sending out to the world and to universes, I actually lack commitment.
Hmm.
So what will you get? You'll only get more and more outcomes where you don't see commitment. I think it starts with what values you're willing to live on a day-to-day basis. And integrity is a non-negotiable value.
Non-negotiable. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And like that, what other things do you feel are very important?
Respect.
Respect.
Respect is non-negotiable. If you don't feel respected doing something, do not do it. However small or big it is, do not do it. The minute you give out a message to the universe that I'm okay to do something which disrespects me, you're going to get a lot of other outcomes and a lot of other situations where you will feel disrespected.
So this is very deep, right, Nipa? And I absolutely agree with you. But very difficult to many a times do. So people are there in corporate jobs where
Agree.
you don't. And I hear a lot of women's stories. What should they do?
I would just say, instead of, for example, if somebody is feeling that and wants to get out, I'm like, what can we do on your weekend to start slowly building something which makes you feel I have a road out, so that you actually you can finally take a step to get out of a place which disrespects you. Right?
Yes.
For women, the biggest problem is, deep-rooted problem is, they don't think only that they are valued.
They don't themselves see the self-worth.
As valued, right?
Yes,
In a
valued,
company.
yeah.
And because they don't see it as value, they feel if I say something, I'm creating a conflict. But
Mhm.
conflict is a good.
A good, correct.
Conflict will give you answers, nothing will give you.
Another area, what kind of all these achievers, and I'm just coming more to the mindset, what are the blocks do you see? Usually the invisible blocks that they carry, and then you're trying to sort of, make them see through that.
I think one is that they have a lot of money scarcity. Despite having all that, there's a money scarcity issue. And it matches with also from Ken Honda's book. For all the Japanese affluent people, they have exactly the same issue. In fact, more money you have, the more you're scared it'll go away.
Yes.
Because it has now defined how you're showing it to the world, your social standing, how you're traveling, how you're flying, how you're doing a wedding for your kid. So I think money scarcity is massive. It'll be shocking, but actually people who come from a normal background, yahi hai na, they are so actually grounded in certain ways. Of course they want to do more, but they don't have a money scarcity issue. They actually have more contentment.
So again, bang on, Nipa. I have seen so much of the corporate world, and one of the things, if I write a book, is going to be the psychology of the corporate achievers.
Yeah.
And the whole psychology around that, because one of the thing is the higher you are, this fear of
Exactly,
losing, whether it is
losing.
the money that you're also going to
Or
lose,
the lifestyle.
or absolutely the lifestyle, and now you want to show off your children's wedding and everything, or your own, once you retire, is so high that at that point you start losing yourself and say yes to everything.
Everything.
I see a very different human being, and I always say
Exactly.
that, oh my God, and especially when I see people towards retirement, and I think there's so much of fear.
Yeah.
There's so much of scarcity of
Yeah.
losing
Identity. And if
identity,
you actually see
money.
at the core of it, it is money only, no,
It is money,
Darshana?
money, yes.
That's one thing. Second thing is comparison.
Mhm.
I think that when you're in this level and you actually build very strongly to be on your lane, like at this level where I know I'm neither in that league nor am I down, and I constantly, sounds unknowingly, a lot of times my team will say, but this brand is doing this, we should be doing this. I'm like, this is exactly the rabbit hole we're going to get into,
Correct.
this comparison shit,
Correct.
right? And that's why you see the high achievers are constantly comparing. But I don't have this like this one. But I don't have this like this one. But when I went there, she didn't compliment me. Then the other one got it. And maybe I should have got that particular back. And these are all high achievers who talk
Yes,
like this.
Yes.
So when they actually tell the truth,
And that's the validation they're seeking, actually, right?
validation, or I think that they do not know at how to work on being in sync with who they are. A lot of that has been achieved through money, lifestyle, display, external, whatever, as you're saying, validation, like
Validation,
external, whatever. But at some point, they have completely lost sight of who they are. When I ask them, who are you? They do not know how to answer. Right?
Interesting. So tell me, that's the interesting topic you're bringing. And most of us in our generation were raised and conditioned from scarcity. Because our
Correct.
parents came from the scarcity, and money
Correct.
has always been that. I remember that I bought a car before the house. My parents were not happy.
Yeah.
That, because car is not an asset, house
Yeah,
is an asset.
asset. Oh, I so
in a
relate to
Gujarati
this.
house, no asset liability, so all business
Correct.
families. So how do you
Exactly.
change that, the scarcity to abundance?
I do a lot every day. Every night I do this tool called Arigato Money, which is thank you money, where I actually change the energy of the money that I spent.
Nice. And arigato is your Japanese.
It's a Japanese word of
so
thank you. And I do it I've used that even for arigato for relationships, where I also thank for relationships that left. Same with money, right? We are very happy when money is coming in our account.
Right.
We feel a lot of scarcity when suddenly an expenditure comes of doing up the house or a car expenditure, or suddenly we have to pay much more for a travel ticket. That's when that scarcity starts coming in. Or when you've gone and spent so much money to kind of do up something which you really wanted to. So whenever someone spends money, I say thank you money, that I had it in my account to be able to spend on something that I really needed. It'll go into the right ecosystem and come back to me tenfold. Right?
Nice.
So I constantly tell people every night, even if you're spending on a Swiggy or a coffee, just say arigato money for all the things you spent in the night. And my husband and I diligently do this every night.
Oh, every
And
night.
I have come from a huge scarcity money, because I remember when I was in 5th standard and my dad had to overnight pay for the house that we were living in, and he did not have the money, and he had to kind of borrow money from all our family friends and pay it. And I remember so clearly my mom sitting on the bed and crying. And after that, their entire psychology of money, even though they could get the house, and so many things changed after that, Darshana, was always, how much did you spend on this?
Yes.
So much money you spend on this?
Yeah.
Are you crazy? You
I
should
agree.
save. What will happen in your old times when you're in the hospital?
Correct.
Right?
And they also don't let us spend on them.
So what happens is that even though I did so well in Star, because I had money scarcity, I can't tell you the way expenditures would come, somehow money would never stay in my account.
Same
Because I had
problem.
so much fear.
So I had that.
And I changed it with doing this tool. And that's why when I was making 50,000 or 1 lakh rupees when I was coaching, when I finally went into coaching, my dad would tell me after 6 months, so much money is in your account. How did that happen? Because I used to do arigato money and thank you money every night. Suddenly, if I had to buy something, I would get it through a collab. Or there would be somebody like, listen, I want to know your story. Come, let me take you out for dinner. or take me out for meal. Suddenly I would just receive
Receive.
gestures which otherwise I would spend a lot of money to go.
Lovely.
And till today, I don't even know what money scarcity mindset is. Because, and it's repeat, it's frequency of how often I do the tool, which has created a new neural pathway that every time when I do this and when I see new clients come in, new orders come in, I'm like, aayega to money.
I think over the years and doing it, a very aware
Yeah.
person, and so you are aware. You obviously
Yeah.
have your tools which you
Yeah,
are
yeah,
yourself,
yeah.
experiencing and doing it. But this, to me, people who are not so self-aware, it takes time.
A lot of time.
Because first thing first, you first have to know to
Yeah.
even see the signs of universe.
I was not for 7
Yeah.
years, 8 years. I was not aware. My friends used to avoid talking to me because I used to go on and on. And I used to be in something what I call the drama triangle. So I tell, if you don't know how to be aware, just think this is a triangle. On top of the triangle is why me, victimizing. On the left-hand side is blaming because of you. And the third is fixing. If your dynamics with your work people, your colleague, yourself, with relationships, is this drama triangle, be aware you're not going to go far in life.
Okay, so it's why me?
Victim, blame,
blame,
fixing. 80-90% are in this victim, blame, or fixing, right? That's the starting point of awareness, that if you're here, there is something you need to change.
Change, because you're always constantly in that loop.
Correct, no, because you will always victimize yourself. You
Self.
will not take any responsibility. You'll blame
Blame
others. You won't
others.
take any responsibility. You'll fix when you're getting signs that this is not for you.
Right.
I was working with a very a senior media head currently, and she thought she was not in a drama triangle because she was not a victim or blaming, but she was fixing all the time. She was never letting her juniors or associates go stand up for themselves, fight their battle. Everywhere she was kind of just stepping in. No, but I have to save her. No, but I have to save him. To a point that she got a serious health situation that she had to step back and she had to evaluate all of this. But why wait for
Why
such
wait,
situations?
True. And it's also, I feel this, once you're in that hole till you don't come out and pull yourself, you're constantly there.
So
till
if
you
I
put yourself
yes.
in a health issue. So I also want to come to relationship a little bit, because you also have you
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
people going through divorces,
Yeah.
separation,
Yeah.
a single mother,
Yeah.
single women. And how have you handled, those kind of clients? Because what is that mindset said that you are, trying to fix or help them?
Yeah. So I had another client who was married to someone from the Bollywood celebrity, married to a Bollywood celebrity. She's finally got divorced 3 months back. 2.5 years we worked on it. And only reason she wasn't able to get out of it because of a financial
independence.
dependency, right?
Absolutely.
So I said, forget about the divorce. Let's work on first. We got a lawyer to actually know her finances. We got her an accountant to actually do her accountant. We figured out this tool that I call the Ikigai tool, but I do my own version where I do 4 columns, write 4 columns, things you're good at and you love, things you love and you're not good at, things you're good at and you don't love, and the last one, what you're not good at, don't love. So we figured what she loves. I made her invest in those courses. I said, let that go on. Build your ammunition. Build yourself. Come to a place where you factually feel courage to say, now I'm ready.
You're ready. Yeah.
Sometimes you might want to push someone earlier, but you're pushing them from a very low frequency space. And there is a huge chance that they might get the divorce, but they might be completely broken after that and not be able to bring themselves back.
Back again.
So sometimes it's okay to what I call build ammunition.
Okay.
Build ammunition, build your financial independence. Today, she is a coach herself. She is getting clients. Her divorce is done. She has all her accounts and things in place. And my God, I can't believe it's the same person I spoke to 3 years back when she first called. All she called me was, how to eat less.
Wow.
That was all.
She called you for eating
How
and you
to eat less. But when I could, what is going on? Why are these 2-3 days where she's going bizarre? One thing led to the other. And then obviously she opened up. Because sometimes some people feel, I have to do inner child. This is very old trauma. I cannot, and change it all my life. It's not true. Sometimes it's a switch button. there's something called
Okay.
recent past performance, right? If you start something and you get, say, your first 2, 3 projects in the first month, that becomes your recent past performance, which will start making you believe that I'll get 30 more.
It can be a third.
Right?
Yes.
So can we just create recent past performance that makes them start believing that this is actually possible?
Yes. What excites you on the founder journey?
What excites me in the founder journey is that I think we're in the best time in this country to launch something which is meaningful if you can actually explain it well, right? Everything that I launch, I'm a living, breathing consumer of it. It's not like I've launched. I know a lot of founders launch, but they don't consume their own protein. So I just feel like if you have authenticity, if you have your research, and if you have your ingredients, you are yourself a consumer, there is nothing stopping you.
Nothing stopping you. Awesome. And on that authenticity note, where are you yourself right now? Is there still a gap between you and your own alignment?
100%. I still feel that my consistency can improve. I still feel I start with a lot of enthusiasm and somewhere it slips. So, but I'm so aware of it that I have integrity now to not commit to that many things. First, I would just say yes to this, yes to this, yes to this. Now I'm like, are you going to be able to do it? Is it? I take that moment, that pause, that your values shouldn't be compromised. Full stop. So if you're going to compromise your integrity, do not do it. Because
Amazing.
with that, everything goes,
Yes.
you don't attract the results.
You don't attract that. I think this is beautiful because awareness, integrity, so that you don't attract.
Exactly.
The same thing. So more interesting, fun stuff like, a quick rapid fire. One habit your clients resist the most.
Change. Any change.
They come for that, but they don't want to.
They don't want to. They don't want to change.
Last thing you Googled about your own body?
Creatine. And absolutely suffered. Did not work for me. I figured the reason, and I don't think every woman should take it, but I don't know if they're going to listen to me. But yeah, creatine.
Creatine. Okay. Biohack that sounds crazy but actually works.
Eat the damn thing you love every day, even if it is unhealthy. It's the best biohack on planet to lose weight.
This is really brilliant and contradict to, I think, all the nutritionists, dietitianists will really say, wow, what's happening?
Yeah.
The wellness trend you wish would just die.
The wellness trend that I wish would just die is where every other brand calls themselves as clean protein and fools women, especially those who have PCOS, thyroid and all, by adding artificial sweetener, maltodextrin. I just hope this whole labeling yourself as clean protein just dies.
No, and it's so sad, right? The way there is things mixed in everything today. It's very scary in the world and in India that we are living. Either the norms have to, the food and safety norms have to go up, because this is not...
I mean, how can you have a PCOS protein which has maltodextrin? That is the very thing that is going to destroy the insulin, and you put it there and that poor girl doesn't even know.
Yeah, no, that is really scary. I am with you. Best unsolicited advice you ever, you sort of ignored and then realized you went wrong?
Was that please do weight training, don't do cardio. I was told and I didn't do, and I started in my 40s. It was the biggest price I paid.
So that weight
training, forget cardio. Weight training
is important. I so agree. The one result you are still chasing for yourself, Neepa?
That the Ebri Smile Vegan Protein Collagen becomes what every woman has, so that their health becomes better. Because without protein, there's no skin health, there's no hair health, there's nothing. But you have to eat something which is hormonally balancing. As a 46-year-old in perimenopause, I can say it'll catch up.
Yeah, no, and I think the whole collagen drive, that realization that we need to have collagen after 40 by itself that's very US phenomena. It's not really been in India. It's coming up now. Yeah, and I think you need to penetrate more in the tier 1, tier 2 towns of India.
Absolutely.
Right?
So that's another thing that I have not. I still feel I have a lot to achieve in becoming a pan-India brand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how do you get there?
How do you get
Yeah.
there? It's not easy.
It's not, it's very different, right? Something you know is bad for you that you will still never give up. Anything like that?
Barfis. Love it.
The most dangerous kind of client you have ever worked with.
They change their goal every week, and they absolutely choose not to remember that they've completely contradicted their own selves. And these are seriously high achievers, very well known in the industries, owners of very big brands who do this.
Then that's tough.
That's tough.
Yeah.
They've changed it. So with those people, I asked them to keep a recording of their own coaching of us, because it happened 2-3 times and created a lot of friction.
So if someone just walks away from this conversation and does one thing differently tomorrow, what do you actually know when they're listening, and if they just what is that
Just
one
do
thing they want to do?
what you say and say what you do. Don't, if you can't do it, just don't say it. And if you're saying it, try to do it. If you just start from there, you'll realize how much you start relying on yourself. And the day you start relying on yourself, you'll start taking yourself seriously. And the day you do that, it's like
The universe will take you
it's a ripple.
seriously.
It's a
Yes.
ripple effect.
Yeah. Lovely. And the question you were hoping that I won't ask you today.
Do you feel successful yet?
Do you feel successful?
No. I keep. One day I feel very good and I feel successful, and one day I feel, oh my God, it's so overwhelming. So I'm human.
You are human. I
I'm
love
human.
that. And what does your visual board look like now today?
The vision card.
The vision card, yeah.
It still looks like this where career is concerned. I want respect, I want fame, and I want financial abundance.
Amazing. And I wish more power to you,
know.
Nipa. And
So
thank
much
you so much
fun.
for being on my
This
show.
is great.